So we created this, it's called an agreement in the sense that there are a lot of components to it. Oh gosh, shut that off. My phone keeps going off on alarm. Hold on, please. You shut that baby down. Okay, let's get back to business. We created agreements because as you go through this document, you're going to see that there are many components that you can use as separate documents to post, and we give guidelines in here as well. So if either you want to scroll down, we're going to start with the first concept, which is following many of the governors as we're listening to them. They have a lot of concepts about the 3 phases of opening. Andrew and Iva and I had a conversation about this the other day, and we've talked about it and how we can help prepare you to be a little bit more diligent about what it is that you need to be to have ready. I think sometimes it's the scarcity mentality and the fear of not knowing what to expect, the fear of the unknown, that keeps us in a state where we are simply just scrambling around to try to do things last minute, which can be quite scary. So I'm hoping that I give you guys some ideas. Iva and I have talked a lot about this to deepen it out a little bit. So let's just go and run through. So if you're looking at the screen, phase 1, we themed this as budgets and strategies, which means that you're really kind of diving into your Ppe loan at this point. We've spent a lot of time going over the Ppe loans. I think the theme of this first 8 weeks as you reopen, it's going to be anywhere between May, June, and July, depending on your state and when you get to open. So your 8 weeks begins the day that you open, truly, but be super adaptable to change. And one of the things that we really talked about is constant communication, especially with Andrew. So one of the things that we need to make sure that we have is reopening payroll contracts, which we provided contracts called COVID-19 clarity contracts, which define the pay period and compensation for those first 8 weeks for you guys. Again, if any one of you want those contracts and you don't have them in your hands yet, I think this whole group probably has it at this point. Email Iva, and she will make sure she gets it to you. You need to determine your loan amounts. Again, this is not a Ppe webinar, okay, so we're not going to focus on that. We have a lot of webinars on and lives on the Statements Project about the Ppes, or give us a call. We'll be happy to do that. You need to make sure that you budget yourself to pay yourself first, because you need to make sure that you as the owner are financially sound and you are able to carry yourself through and you're not in a state of constant stress so that you can lead properly. Because if you're mentally incapacitated with high levels of stress, especially financial stress, you're going to shut your business down. I mean, you're just going to be over it, you know, because employees are acting like assholes right now. So, you know, right now I'm like a banana peel away from shutting my doors because I'm so over these people. But as you can imagine, I think if we're just a little bit less stressed and financially sound, we will be a bit more prepared to handle the stress that continues to come our way. You're going to calculate all payroll for 2 compensation periods, and technically there's 3 compensation periods. But your Ppe loan is only going to last for the first pay period. So if you did not get a secondary loan like an EIDL or a grant or other loans or other investments or other funding, fintech loans, any of these kind of loans, you're going to be out of money if you don't get to open, especially in states like New Jersey and New York and, you know, Virginia now, apparently May 29th, I could just kill them. But you get the idea. All right, we're just going to keep going down. Here are some critical points. You must communicate with your staff first to make sure that they all understand. You've heard this as a theme over and over. I would make sure that you call, you confirm with every team member, have they received their unemployment? Have they received all back pay? Are they solvent at this point? Are they relaxed? Are they calm? Are they looking? You got to ask them all these hard questions. These are leadership questions that honestly sucks because they want to treat you like, you know, you're not the Messiah these days, you're the monster these days, right? And so it's kind of tough, and we got to make sure that we are really communicating to them in a very heartfelt way so they understand that you're on their side as well. But yet you have to hold the line.
Can you hear me, Nikki?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hate that, I know you're on a roll. I want to bring something up and I want you to answer it because I've answered this question at least 50 times in the last 2 days. What if your staff doesn't want to come back because they are afraid? If I have paycheck protection loans, can I stop their unemployment by offering them their job back?
Yes. So on the FAQs for the Ppe loan, the SBA and Treasury Department has created an interim guideline that states very clearly that if your staff chooses and declines the position, you as the employer offer the position, with very similar stats, like similar hours, similar pay, similar all of that, and then they politely decline or impolitely decline, you have to get that in writing. And so it has to be stated. So hence the COVID-19 clarity contracts, or just a resignation letter. If they don't decline the job, they won't speak to you because they're acting like assholes. What you're going to do is you're going to set a deadline. And you're going to say at this deadline, and you're going to post it publicly. And you're going to say, if you don't tell us by this deadline and communicate with me, I will consider this a resignation, which therefore by number 40 of the FAQs of the Ppe loan in the interim guideline makes them effectively ineligible for unemployment. So if they choose to stay home because they're scared or they don't have daycare or they choose to not work or whatever the reason may be, they don't need
Nikki,
to be paid for.
let's face it, most of them aren't really scared. They're making $1,200 a week for sitting on their ass.
Yes.
So that was the mistake of the government. But you know, my answer to everybody was, in New Jersey, you get a weekly thing certifying their unemployment. Resign from position, period.
Right. If you verify to the unemployment, which by the way, you must, and the penalties at this point is that the owner will be held liable for those unemployment payments. They're stating that very clearly because we pay into it. And secondly, the employee will have to pay unemployment back if you're audited and you find that out. So if your loans are $2 million and above, you will be audited. If you're underneath and they have a lot of holes and gaps and questions about your unemployment and your headcount issues and the FTE, they will most likely audit the unemployment situation. So you can blame the government on that. You don't have to take responsibility for that. You just tell them, I have to do this.
Best line ever, Nikki, because you know, we all know that the best thing you can do as an owner is to blame it on a third party, especially if it's a government entity.
And in this case, it's actually the truth. So we don't have a choice. Correct. As the owner. It is genuinely not our ability to do so. The government wants them off unemployment if you got the Ppe loan to put them back on payroll. And let me clarify, and this is what I keep saying this, unemployment is for people who are genuinely unemployed. Meaning if you have a job offer, you're not actually unemployed. You have a job. If you don't want the job, then you're quitting and resigning and electing to not work, which makes you ineligible for support, financial support. Please feel free to stay home if you don't feel safe. But if you remove the component of the unemployment, $1,200 a week or $1,000 a week, I guarantee you that decision will be different for a lot of them. So, you know, that's just
somebody just asked, how is it $1,200 a week? So it's normally $600, but they're including another $600 on top of that for 8 weeks of pandemic unemployment insurance.
Which will go to the end of July. However, I believe that right now they're changing that. They are trying to change it and overturn it to when your state opens, that they will remove unemployment, the PUA for you if your state opens. And you cannot prove that you are technically, officially unemployed.
And just so you guys know, New Jersey, the max unemployment is 713. So if you're at the max, you get the 713 plus the 600. So it's right. Pretty high.
Right. I know. And you'll never pull them off for regular pay, but they have to understand that they got retroactively paid for 4, 5, 6 weeks, 8 weeks of unemployment. That was really pretty. And now they just have to come off. I mean, you know, you have to be fair, right? You have to be fair. Unemployment needs to be saved for people who really need it. You want to scroll down a little bit? So critical points, meaning you need to make sure that you solidify the projected date a little bit. Some of you will have the issue of where your projected date might be May 29th to be open and your loan ends June 20th, let's say, and your team decides out of 10 people, 5 of them say, I'm not coming back, I don't feel safe. So that is a bigger issue where you're paying them in essence to stay home, but then it's not fair to the team that is coming back. And then they're saying they don't want to stay home. And so now you have this issue of employment leadership challenges. I've been asking, we actually talked to our CPA today about it. I emailed April McDaniel from Ppe, and they all don't have a lot of answers about that, to be really honest with you. I don't think anyone has any answers. I think this is going to become a leadership maneuver where you are just going to have to give them a deadline to when they're going to come back, or you're going to say that I'm going to drop your pay to minimum wage or whatever it is that you're going to drop it to. Or nothing, or just say, I will now at this point ask for your resignation, and then you could rehire in 8 to 10 weeks, maybe. But then that puts you in a position where you're losing some service providers. And I know that's very challenging for a lot of you. I understand. So it's going to be a very difficult position.
Iva, Nikki's breaking up. We lost her. Can you hear me, Iva?
Whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to know where your bottom line is. And if your bottom line is we're opening May 29th and June 10th, you must be back, then that's your line. Then June 10th, you must be back regardless if you like it or not. You know, or I have to consider you resigned, which means I'm not paying you. I mean, it's going to be one of these kind of decisions, which means you might drop in your head count. But again, I don't want to derail into PPP land, but you guys get the idea. Those are really.
Nikki, I have a quick confusing one for you, and I apologize for this, but I get this question and I don't have a straight answer right now because I don't think the government's come out with this answer. When do I bring them back on the PPP? Do I bring them back while they're sitting at home, or do I bring them back when the state allows us to reopen?
You got to bring them back the moment the loan proceeds drop. So that therein lies the problem. However, don't tell anyone I told you this. This is a total secret. But my friend at the SBA did say, do not tell them I told you guys this. It's unofficial at this point, but they are writing the new interim guideline that will bend that slightly in the beginning because of the confusion in the beginning, because of the mass chaos that was in the beginning, because people not having a fucking clue when they were supposed to start paying their people. There's like a window of 2 to 4 weeks that was just mass hysteria for a while. And so it's gonna reduce the forgiveness on a lot of people's loans. And so they are trying to be understanding and write another interim guideline that addresses that issue, which means then that they will bend. Now, that doesn't mean that you guys wait 4 weeks to pay your payroll, okay? That's not what that means, because you are still sacrificing forgiveness if they choose and the lender chooses to do so. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have a heart attack, if you didn't start paying the first week, the moment you got it, I think they're gonna create some leniency around that.
Yeah, so you 4,000 people watching live on Zoom and Facebook, don't tell anybody that Nikki's SBA contact told you that.
I was just going to say the same thing. Just tell 4,000 people that are watching now and the 8,000 that are watching.
Well, listen, if I were you, Iva, and listen, right?
Their people.
Yeah, if I were you, Iva, I wowould post his email address on the next slide. You should put it on the back and say PPP on one side and SBA on the other, and you can just flip it around.
He'll kill me. But I did ask him point blank. I said, do you think that they will change that? He said that is most likely that we will most likely write a guideline on that, because it's just, I think that the rate is something like 75% of the loans were not used properly in the beginning. I mean, it was a tremendous amount. So, I mean, unless you're so far out of the safety zone that you're going to lose some of the forgiveness, I don't know. I'm just saying, this is all unprecedented. This is all like chaos right now. We're all just trying to manage.
We hate to get into all this PPP stuff because it's been beaten to death, right? And you guys are experts on it. But again, we got questions coming in, right? Like, my employees think it's tax-free. No, it's not tax-free. No. It's not tax-free. It's money given to
that double dipping, guys.
Exactly. It's just like unemployment. Unemployment is not tax-free. You get taxed on unemployment. So it's income. So guys, you got to tell your stylist, you got to be from a leader position. You've got to come across and just say, this stuff you're going to be taxed on. When I offer you your job back, you have to come back. If you don't come back, you're not going to get unemployment because I'm not going to recertify your benefits.
Right, because you're not unemployed. You're not unemployed. You're employed. I furloughed you. I didn't fire you, you know, or you can quit, but that means you're not eligible for unemployment. So, all right. So once you calculate that, you need to confirm schedules, guys, at this point for 24 weeks at the very least. Your 3 phases is 24 weeks. You need to confirm schedules. They need to put that in writing, and they need to stick to that shit. And it can change 8 week to 8 week, but I would readjust like that, meaning if you're going to end up doing teams, which I know some people are doing, where they're doing, let's say you have 20 stylists, you're going to break it down into 4 teams of 5, and you're going to have 1 team work at a time. In case one team goes down, then you can, and that's a concept. If you would like to do that, that is totally fine. It depends on your square footage and the occupancy, in my opinion. So I believe in the state of Virginia, and I believe in Maryland and some other states, they're suggesting that you minimize down to 50% occupancy. You got to look on your occupancy permit. You got to see what that is. And you got to just minimize it down. And if that means dropping your teams down into smaller teams, that's fine too. And then what is your procedure? You need to create a procedure about what you will do to handle it if one of your team members gets sick with COVID. You know, do you have the PTO to pay it? Is it in savings? Did you get the idle loan? Set aside a separate account just for PTO, just for sick leave, because you got to pay 2 weeks. That's legally required if they get sick. So you got to make sure that you have that ready to go. And then do you have a facility that you can recommend that they go get tested immediately? So if that team of 5 goes down, 1 goes to the hospital and whatever to get better and to heal and to get well. But then with the other 4 that aren't sick need to go to the testing center and get tested. So you got to make contacts for that right now. You got to know exactly the resource to send people to if that is happening.
Nikki, with the paid time off, now I know New Jersey, your state has 2 weeks, right? My understanding is some of the states don't have that, and you immediately go on to family medical leave.
Yes.
If you get hit with it. So
just be prepared to pay 2 weeks out if they're out. You got to pay it, unfortunately. And hopefully if they get sick, hopefully they don't get sick, but if they do get sick, hopefully it's why you have a Ppe or an idle loan and not afterwards when you're broke.
Correct.
So, all right. So confirm and certify who is staying in unemployment. You want to scroll down a little bit more. Increase retail sales. In my opinion, I think you should increase your retail dollars, meaning just like you did a price increase, I think you need to increase your retail prices. 10, 15%. And bundling, whatever you want to do, ask your reps for discounts so that you can deepen your pockets on the retail side. You want to increase your pre-booking. Again, we'll walk you through all of this. Your team needs to have a training about pre-booking conversations. I think pre-booking is going to be essential to what you do in the first 3 phases. So that's just some overall overarching. Let's go right into the phase 1 budget. I want to show you guys a budget of how you're going to create revenue for yourself if you're lucky enough to be open for a period of time before the loan runs out. So remember my model. So guys, just kind of chill on the questions just a little bit because these are numbers and I want you to really hear me and really focus on the numbers. Just a moment, okay? Let's go right to the top line. This is an example for the first phase, which is going to be around the July, August, September timeframe, or maybe May, June, somewhere around there. So let's say you get to open May 30th, which is when in Virginia we get to open, May 29th. Our loan runs out, let's say June 30th. So you have a staff meeting prior to it, and so you understand exactly about the day that you're opening. You understand exactly who is going to be working what schedule. We're going to walk you around and show you some of the things that we've done in the salon as well tonight so that you guys can see some of the things that we've done for our staff and our team to make sure that they feel safe. But let's do some numbers first because I think you got to really focus on the numbers and the compensation and the ability to make some money back on this. So let's say you have basically 30 days of operations. My opinion is if you are open May 30th and your loan runs out June 30th, you need to be open 7 days a week, every single day, as long hours as you possibly can to extend as much production as possible. And it's going to be a short period of time. And I think you need to make sure your team understands that and agrees to it. If you're working at 50% occupancy and you're normally open 45 to 50 hours a week, I think you should push for 70 to 75 hours a week to be open so that you can at least drive more revenue in with the minimum occupancy to recover a little bit of it. Let's say you have 15 stylists working as 3 teams of 5 service providers, which by calculation is 4.3 guests per day per stylist at 9 hours per day. So each stylist will work 9-hour shifts. And that means they're seeing anywhere from 4.3. If you're booking on the normal, like staggering or double booking, as you guys call it, it's about 8 to 9 clients, sometimes 10. I sometimes see 15 or 16 in a day myself. So it just depends on your pace and how tightly you can squeeze it in, especially if you're sliding in 15 or 30-minute times in between. Okay, so but in 9 hours, I think we can easily achieve 4.3 guests, yeah? So roughly. So those 5 styles per day, the salon is open 63 hours per week. I've upped it from 45 hours to 63. That's 21 to 30 hour shifts per team. So if you have those 3 teams, each team works the 21 to 30 hours, depending on what that is in there. 7 days a week, 21.6 tickets a day, per day. Okay, so that's your team of 5 will create 21.6 tickets or 22 tickets per day. That's targeting a $2,000 average per day ticket. That is very low. maybe not for everybody, but generally speaking, I think $2,000 is a fairly low day. And that's averaged out for all 30 days that you're open. That generates $60,000 for that 30 days of being open, with an average number of 650 tickets, which those tickets are roughly around like 85, 90 bucks a ticket roughly. So I think that's, again, a fairly achievable number. You add the 10% price increase, which Derek and I have hammered, and Iva and I have hammered into your heads 1,000 times. So here's where this, I'm going to show you in numbers why this is important. 10% price increase equals to $6,000 in the first 30 days that you're generating in revenue. So guess where that dollar can go to? PTO, sick leave accounts, bonus, second phase, loss of revenue, loss of compensation, et cetera, et cetera.
Nikki, it doesn't, I love what you just said, where it can go to. It needs to go there if you want to survive this.
Right. So then so that brings our total to 66,000 that we're going to generate during that time. You add retail sales of $200 a day, which is 10% RTS. So you got to do some heavy retailing during that 30 days, which people are dying for some shit. So sell it, okay? Bundle it, package it. I don't care what you got to do, but sell it to death. All right. So then $6,000 from that. Your cost on that's probably $3,000, which I lay out below. If you elect to do a COVID charge at this point, again, you can or you cannot. I just elect to do a price increase, but yes, you can absolutely do a COVID charge, but we built it in for 300 of those tickets out of the 650. You can do it for 650. I just put in a low number just for a low average, just so you guys can see the impact. So that's $3,000. That's, again, optional. It drives your total revenue capture for the first 30 days of being open at $75,000. Do you see how budgeted you have to be about the opening phase? You have to run your numbers, guys, so that you understand what the hell to expect financially. Now, you have to deduct your expenses, okay? The first deduction, thanks, Derek. The first would be the commission overflow. So let's say you guaranteed them from the loan $1,000 a check for 4 pay periods. Let's just say that's their average commission. Let's say they come in and they're like, they knock it out of the ballpark. They're not operating at 50% production. They've sold a ton of stuff. They've upgraded tickets like, mad. And they've done $4,000 in revenue for you in that week. You pay them the extra. You pay them whatever they did more of it. So that's the fair thing. So I just built in a little bit of a buffer in there for overflow payroll, because remember, here are 2 accounts. Here's our PPP accounts, which we're paying payroll out of, right? And rent and utilities. And then here's our operations account that we've had, but it hasn't been doing much, but now all of a sudden it's starting to drive money, right? We're putting money in from the working, and we're open. And so as you continue to build, this keeps deepening, but this one gets dwindled down, right? You're not using this money to do that. So you get to continue to increase. So if you have a little overflow commission, you're going to take it out of that account and then do your payroll. You could even do 2 separate checks to keep track of it a little bit better, so the team can see exactly what their minimum guarantee was from the Ppe and then what their commission was as well. And I think that's a nice way for them to have a visual on that, so they understand, because there's a lot of arguments I keep hearing about people saying, well, don't I get paid for both? Don't I get paid to do clients behind the chair and my Ppe loan? No, babe. You get the Ppe loan as your minimum guarantee, but if you do over that number of commission, then you get that number, okay? So you got to make sure you have that hard line conversation with them.
Nikki, jumping back into going back one step, a couple people on Facebook are asking 10% right away. Yes, minimum of 10% right away. Minimum. Or if you're charging a COVID charge, $10 a ticket. You got to make up your mind. I agree with Nikki. I think the smartest way to do it right now, and you might be able to do both, but a very smart technique is to put a percentage on your higher paying tickets right now, because you need to stay open. Okay. If you can get that, because I know salon owners, and Nikki and Iva, you know this, most salon owners have not raised their prices in forever. They're afraid to freaking raise their prices. They're always competing on, I got to outdo my friend who charges less. Guess what? Those people who are charging less are going to go out of business. So I think Nikki and Iva nailed it. Put it on your charges, and you might even put a COVID charge on top of that as a separate ticket, but do not pay commission on that. Super duper important. Nikki, you want to dive into the commission part?
And we're gonna do compensation here in a minute. Every time you do a price increase, if you are a salon that is paying 55%, 60% commissions, Every time you do a big price increase, you got to drop it a little. You're going to readjust. And we're going to talk about compensation in the first 3 phases of readjusting. Every government worker, every person that got to keep their damn job right now got a compensation drop. Okay, just so you guys know, 10, 15, 20%. People are going to need to get used to the idea of making a little less. We all got to make a little less. So I want you guys to really understand that. I know you guys are like, I'm going to have a heart attack right now. Okay, I understand. Every time we're trying to drop commissions or whatever, we're talking a temporary window of time. In order to stay open, we have to readjust what we're doing in compensation. But again, that's farther down the road, but we'll go into that. But if you're going to do a 10% price increase and you're paying too high, now would be the time to readjust your compensation plan. Just drop down a couple percent right now. Or again, we'll talk about the compensation in a little bit, but hopefully I'll outlay that for you. One more thing on price increases. First of all, I hate emotional conversation around price increases. I just don't like it. I just don't think emotions belong in pricing conversation. If you look at it from a straight perspective of economics, okay, just economics, basic economics of supply versus demand, anytime you are in a lack of equilibrium stage of supply versus demand, meaning a supply of a commodity and the demand of the commodity, right? And it's out of whack, right? Which means that the demand for your service is exorbitantly high. There's levels of demand, a little bit of demand, a lot of demand, and an exorbitantly high demand, which as salons, we will be in that stage when we open. Agreed or not agreed? Okay. Supply, we're limited by the government telling us we got to minimize it down to 50% occupancy and 50%, and we got to build in 30-minute time slots in between, and we got to take longer with them, and we got to do all this cleaning, and will it not take longer to do? So production and supply chain of the commodity is completely disrupted from an economic standpoint.
Hey, Nikki, you're on a roll, which somebody's asking a question, which I think is really valid. If you're going to be sending disclosures to these clients prior to them coming in, right? So pre-consult, whatever we're going to have to do to get them in, and they're going to be able to get some of that paperwork about what the protocols are going to be for your salon specifically. Should you let them know in that there's an increase, whether it's specifically by service or something then, so that they don't come in, because you figure, listen, you're in a mask, they're in, you do the service, if you pre-build them or whatever, and then all of a sudden they turn around at the end and they're like, Nikki, you didn't tell me that you went up $10 in price, and they want to have an argument while you're in a mask at the front door. Because, Jersey, we don't play around with that stuff. There's ways to solve that problem. But just give us your feedback on that.
Well, let's just go ahead and read I added a price increase letter to your guest in this presentation so that you guys could see it and use it. So I wrote this letter. You can give it to your clients, and how we're going to give it to them, guys, is a welcome back bag. And in that bag, we're going to have all of our literature in there. So we'll have, here's the price increase letter. Here's the reason why. I'm going to read it to you guys, okay? And then I'll also have a $25 gift card. I'll talk about why I'm going to do that in a minute for phase 2. And then also there's going to be like maybe some samples from your distributor, or maybe something special that's branded to your business, or whatever that is. But let me go ahead and read the letter, because I think this will answer the question for you. Dear salon guest, our salon has implemented some changes in response to the COVID-19 pandemic shutdowns. Our industry has been debilitated and impacted in an unprecedented way. In our fight to survive and thrive, we will need to create some necessary changes in our operations due to many factors, like the long duration of time since the price increase has been calculated, the critical pandemic financial crisis our salon industry has endured, the dramatically high cost of PPE for our staff to follow legal guidelines, the cost of other protective gear provided complimentary to our guests to be safe. We're choosing to provide disposable masks to our guests complimentary. The governor's mandates to slow down and spread out all appointments. Therefore, it will take longer to get every guest in. The appointment spots will be incredibly limited and considered premium over the first few months as we acclimate back to our original speed. We'll change our cancellation no-show policies to ensure that there isn't any wasted time. Our team will strive to work extra hours to be as accommodating as possible. We will have to spread out our teams into 2 groups or 3 or 4 in case of anyone getting sick. This will cause a delay in getting you in right away. Please review our printouts and refer to our Facebook page for revised cancellation no-show policies. Our guarantee policy will stay the same. We will always pursue excellence in our services to you. Our salon will be implementing a price increase to balance our expenses as of the date of whatever. Due to the speed of the pandemic and the heightened immediate cost, we have not printed the new prices in a formal brochure yet, but we have temporarily printed flyers in the meantime for your review. Please note that our team always strives to be thoughtful and trustworthy to our guests. Therefore, please discuss all services and fees prior to your service. Your service provider will discuss and inform you of the final cost if need be. If there needs to be a different price for your budget, then we can offer other lower tier stylists in our team or alter the service to fit or discuss other options. We want to thank you for support, patience, and understanding. As a gift, we have given you a $25 gift certificate to use from the dates of second phase dates, guys, July 1st to September 15th, whatever that phase is, to increase sales during the second phase when everyone's been a mad rush in and they aren't not as busy at the second phase. You mean so much to us, and we will continue to fight to be your community salon, signed whatever salon team. Okay, so I hope I addressed that question with that. It's provided in this document. Please feel free to use. Okay, you want to scroll back up, Eva?
More than addressed it, you nailed it.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Where's the document going to be, Nikki?
It's this whole package that I will share with Derek, or we will email you the whole package.
Everybody email Iva. You see her email there.
Everybody should know that shit by heart.
I've already posted your email 6 times, Iva. Not even the joking one. I did it 3 in a row.
All right. You want to go to?
I've already changed it.
I'm gonna scroll back up to. All right, let's get back in. So I hope I addressed the whole price increase thing. Let's get back to the budget because I want to show you guys what you're going to do with that budget. Okay. All right. So if you go back up to the budget, go back to the top line with the 10% increase, and then the retail sales of $200 a day, and then the COVID charge. If you decide to do that, it's again optional. I want you guys to know I've been watching and listening to some feedback on the COVID charges. It's hot right now. Clients are hot about it, but no one's blinking at a price increase. So if you're concerned about challenges from guests, do a 15% price increase and build in because the thing about the COVID charge versus the price increases last until you change it up again. COVID charges might change depending on what's happening in the pandemic issue. All right. So you're deducting your commission overflow payroll.
I kind of love this, honestly. You're 100% right. Build it in. And the reason I say build it in right now with agreement with you and Iva is customers don't know what the hell they were paying in the first place after a two-month gap.
If you were consistent and you were trustworthy and you were and you don't discount and you're not inconsistent with your pricing, they will know when there's a steady price increase that's necessary for cost of living expense jumps and color cost and rent cost and whatever other increases that you get in your business. All right, deduct reimbursement to Ppe loan bank account, which means that let's say you use $6,000 from the Ppe account and you got to reimburse it in. Let's just say if you didn't, great, you got extra money. But if you did, then there you go. Deduct product cost. So let's say that for the retail, if you sold $6,000, you have to the consumable was $6,000 to make that amount of money, and then the sellable was $3,000. So you took a $9,000 hit on your consumable product cost or your COGS. And then the payroll sales tax, which would be your payroll taxes at this point, and sales tax for all of your retails, which would be about $20,000, which is slightly high. That's about 30%. You're going to sit somewhere around 24, 25% most likely. But I just over budgeted so that you guys could see a higher number, for building in miscellaneous cost. So your surplus is $32,000. And if you put a $2,000 buffer in there for, let's say, extra PPE, bonus pay, whatever you got to do for buffer, it gives you $30,000 into your savings from your operations account for being open 30 days prior to your loan running out, which means that you're going to take this $30,000, put it in your damn savings account so that you know what to do and you're covered for the next time you have to close, or you actually have to deal with maybe compensation challenges, which we will address into the second and the third phase. Cool? Can we move on? We're good? All right. Let's drive down here. All right. Go up one more. See the line, it says phase 1 prior to opening. Consider prior to opening, maybe just doing a couple promotion days for essential employees. I've had a great idea. She said, maybe you should just do like 2 days where you just book out a bunch of essential employees and do it all for free. You know what I mean? So give back to your community. And I would post that shit all over Facebook and all over your website and all kinds of things. Like, we take care of our community because you're a community salon.
I would contact local fire departments, police departments, call hotels hotels. There you go. Call hospitals in your area. Go to a hotel.
Call hospitals in your
area. And just tell them, drop flyers off. Take flyers over there. Tell them, come get a shampoo. Come get your hair blown out. Come get a haircut.
They need it.
Okay, phase 2, ready? Phase 2 is the second 8 weeks, which is going to land you somewhere in July to September. I think the theme for this phase is going to be reinforcement and vigilance, which is going to be, you're going to have some challenges on this phase. This is just my prediction. Iva and I were talking about it, and I think that those of us that are thinking ahead will probably agree these are some of the key points that you're going to have to address in phase 2. First is you're going to have to address any increased occupancy challenges if the governor or the state or the government somehow says you can now increase occupancy. So not that that will be a challenge, but it will be something to consider. And I believe in second phase, we will talk about this as well, but there is going to be some serious hiring and onboarding happening during this phase, in my opinion. You better get ready, buckle down, and get yourself ready to go. You got to get ready for school openings during this time. If everyone's going back to school, thank the Lord Jesus, the kids are going back to school. Sweet Mother Mary of God, they can't get back to school soon enough.
Get them the fuck out.
Exactly.
I'm gonna try to build a cardboard. I'm gonna build like a little courtyard in here. I've been walking around with bare feet like I'm in a old Moses, I don't know, documentary in the backyard. And as I look around, I'm like, this is like Rikers Island with landscaping back here. This is like, what the fuck is going on?
I know. I have a nanny. I texted her today. I was like, listen, dude, you're gonna start homeschooling. This shit is for the birds. Like, no way, man. Anyway. So I don't know how they're going to go back to school. Maybe some states will do it virtually, maybe in person. I don't know. We'll see. Get ready for interviews. If you guys want a great interview process, we'll go back into the YouTube of Salon Ops and watch our video on interviewing and onboarding. We have a good video there for you guys to watch on that. Hiring, training, and onboarding, and get it ready to go. Now, by the way, before that, to be prepared to apply it there. You're going to have less production and probably and demand as well. So, which means that you're not going to be as busy, I anticipate, because everyone's going to be a mad rush to get in the first 8 weeks, and then it might die off a little bit, like a summer lull, maybe not. I don't know. It just depends on your business, I suppose. But get ready for it if you are, right? Meaning savings, unemployment supplements, etc. Remember the $25 in the welcome back bags? You put it in the date for the second phase. And so they're allowed to use that $25 increment in that second phase. So you're going to incentivize more bookings. And remember, we pre-book like a mother in the beginning, the first phase. So we're sealing the deal on that, right? There's a lot of missed opportunity in that first phase as they're, like kneeling on the ground, thanking you guys and kissing your feet for like taking them, which is what's going to end up happening in the first phase. So you got to make sure that you're really accommodating them the best that you can to give the most value that you possibly can in order to keep them secured for that second phase. So consider something like that. Continue encouraging pre-booking. Make sure you train your team to do that, your front desk and your assistants. In-house promotions, referral programs. If you don't have any, now's the time to get your referral program in order. Loyalty programs, big deal. I think loyalty programs are a big deal, meaning you are going to secure their purchases from Amazon and other, either through Salon Interactive, if that's what you want to do. That's a great loyalty program on a very high scale, but really very simply is you can do it if you don't want to invest in something like that. You can do it through your point of sale service machine or your credit card processing. They can make little cards for you. And then every single time you can do it dollar for points. You can just basically be like, okay, for every dollar you spend on retail, we give you points to apply towards getting gift cards or discounts towards our services or your retail purchases, whatever you want to do. Ulta, by the way, accounts for 90% of their annual revenue with loyalty programs, just so you guys know. So people have built entire businesses on loyalty programs. So you should too. Point systems, similar things like that. Any kind of point systems for any kind of redeeming, this offsets the price increase to some degree, but you're targeting your VIPs, which is the last program, which is recurring charge. It's VIP memberships. Talk to Derek about it. He's a specialist on that one. And you can talk about some of the recurring subscription price money that you can get on the memberships and the VIP programs. All right. Next is going to be Ppe Enforcement continues. This is going to be even harder, hence the word vigilance and reinforcement, and also making sure that you have a little bit of a kind of a bitch walking around the salon like Iva to make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So So,
Man, did she just throw shade?
like, I'm the good cop. She could be the bad cop. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, baby, you don't have to wear that mask. I was like, yes, you do. You got to listen to her. That's what I'm going to do, basically. All right. Compensation evaluation. You do need to evaluate your compensation program at this point, and we will discuss that. Consider budgets for PTO, sick leave. We talked about it. And now, guys, if those of you that applied for both the EIDL, these EIDL loans, by the way, are monster loans, by the way. They're like 4 times, 5 times, 10 times the amount of the triple Ps. I mean, they're enormous, spread out over 20, 30 years at 3.75. Good for you if you have that, because now you're going to sit pretty. You can stay home as long as you want. You don't need to worry. And you can't get it anymore. I know it sucks ass, but sorry. But, you know, some of you have it. Now would be the time to use your EIDL loans for compensation, because you can use your EIDL loan for compensation at this point. So I would review your state unemployment for reduced wages and reduced hours and the supplements to that. If there is any possibility for that, I would know it, and I would know how to get it, and I would know how to guide and lead your team to get it. Because at this point, if you have to reduce compensation for them because they're working less, making less, and the loans run out, the triple P's loan is run out, you need to figure out how you're going to overcompensate for their compensation that might be lost. Okay. And at this point, you'll have a decision to make. Will you start loan payments if some of your triple P didn't get forgiven and convert? You'll need to make sure that you get to have 6 months before you need to make a payment. However, interest will be accruing for those 6 months, but you will be able to elect that you can do that. I don't know if I'd recommend that. I would tell you to go ahead and make payments if you can. If you can't, then obviously I understand. But if you can, I would. You don't want to break down a loan amount over 18 months. You'd rather break it down over 22 or 24 months. It's better. Okay. And keep in mind the triple Ps, whatever loan that you have that you don't pay off in the 2-year terms, they'll call the note at the end, which means if you don't set aside that money, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Okay. All right. Savings when possible, as much as possible, cut all extra cost. Now is the time to be very diligent about cutting and deferring and abating and anything and everything that you can do inside your business to reserve cash or just keep cash reserves in your business. Phase 3 is going to be preparedness and diligence. That's the theme. So you need to be prepared for what's coming, because a lot of people are talking about second closures during this time, that's going to happen. You need to maintain your safety, sanitation, and support, which is going to be a hard task. I'm telling you, get ready. Reinforce safety policies for lax behavior, constant communication, be prepared for additional closings, prepare to increase occupancy as well. If everything does go well, then they will allow you to increase occupancy. Expect the unexpected, make a plan for it and save for it in phase 2. Again, compensation evaluation. In my opinion, in your compensation, I think compensation period 1 with a triple P loan will look very nice, right? Compensation period 2 will not look so nice. It's going to drop. It's going to need to drop to stay alive a little bit, because you're literally operating at 50%. You're going to have to drop everything down 50%, your expenses, to keep that low. And then the third, if you have a second closure, you better have a plan. So, you know, again, I'm not saying this is some looming threat. I'm saying this like, get ready. So just get some money in the bank and be ready. Be consistent and flexible changes. And then onboarding will be critical. My suggestion for this would be to start now, as you hire all these new people, to create online training programs using a platform like Teachable is a fantastic one. Thinkify is also a really, really good one. And what you're doing is you're just loading your videos that you film on your phone of all the training that you're doing, and you're putting it onto an online training program. We have a program called the Zone Training Program. It's $3.99 if you guys are interested in that, but it has an entire manual and about 140 videos that go along with it that we've already built. But you guys can just create your own if you'd like, or you can add your own to that. But have online training programs, because you're really going to have to train new people, because I think a lot of us are going to lose more people in the second and the third phase as our team members, because you're going to have some ugly conversations with people, and you're going to have to hold the line. And that means you better get ready to take a hit when it comes to staff leaving. But don't fret, because I think you're going to end up, I truly believe, right, Iva, that you will have a lot of new hires potentially coming your way. Absolutely. Which means in second phase and first phase, you really should be doing a shit ton of recruiting and want ads and hiring posters, like ton. I can't stress that enough. Okay. All right, let's jump to the next. Here's a purchase list. You guys can just get this and make your, we just put this in there just to help guide you guys a little bit. We're not going to sit and read that through. Let's talk about employer guidelines. All right, this is going to make your eyes cross, but we have built an entire breakdown of employer guidelines of our own set of guidelines based on all the states that we've compiled data from, all Barbicide, OSHA, everybody going into this, and we have dropped everything into one place so that you guys don't have like 4 or 5 locations for all these guidelines. Let's put the shit down in one, okay? All right. First, each employer is responsible for providing a safe and healthy workplace, which I think is pretty standard. I think everybody needs to state that, which means that you are being in good faith with your insurance company and all of this, that you are absolutely trying your best in good faith to create a healthy and safe workplace. Your employees are going to have some problems with this. They're going to bring some topics up to you. They're going to be like, I don't feel safe to work. I felt like this. I felt like that. You know, there's going to be a lot of challenges there. So just get ready. Employers must determine how to best minimize the spread of COVID by using common sense, adaptability, and constant communication. How you're going to use this agreement, guys, is you're going to sit down with your team in a collaborative meeting, and you're going to run through these. You're going to run through the employer guidelines, you're going to run through the guest guidelines, and you're going to run through the team guidelines, the employer or the employee guidelines. And everyone will understand their part and their responsibility and their need to be completely on a game, and 100% in, okay? I'm not going to sit and read through all of these. You guys can read through these as you go because there's a lot of them, but you guys can start seeing some of these, read these, go over it. I'm going to pull out a few key important ones. Let's jump down from there. The next one is just about the date of opening, that the employers are responsible for deciding that. And then the employer is also responsible for letting you know when you need to be back to work with some compassion and understanding. However, you do need to come back when you're told. Employers will create personal protection kits. I will show you that. We will walk out through the salon and show you what we did. Stylist stations, setting up each station with certain things. Employers provide hand sanitizer, disinfectant. So we're just telling our team what we will provide. You guys, when you get this document, remove stuff you don't want to do, change it, edit it, do whatever you want to do. We just wrote it for you so that you have it to use as your guideline for everything. And it's probably the most comprehensive guideline I think that's out there because it's built with multiple ones. Employers will provide sneeze shields at the front desk. I'll show you those. Provide safety protocols at every touch point to include pens, light switches, beverage bars, magazines, changing stations, bathrooms, waiting areas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Employers will provide capes for transition between every service and neck strips. Plastic dividers for shampoo stations if you so choose. If you don't, don't. Employers will increase spacing to ensure workstations are 6 feet apart. Again, you are stating for fact what you, the employer, are going to do for your insurance company, for your employees, and for your guests. So everyone understands what you have done to create the safety protocols inside your business, okay? We talked about the next one is like isolation of tasks is what this is called. So we're talking about 15 minutes in between each. This is why people are waiting outside, et cetera. Employers will be flexible with work schedules to reduce number of people, employees, and clients in the establishment at all times. Disinfecting and cleaning schedule, just different things like that. The PPE we're talking about, just again, go through and read every single one of these, guys. Don't just skim over it, okay? This is a really important thing to read. You need to understand what your responsibilities are as an employer and all of these things that you can do in your business. And some of you are probably asking the question, do I have to do all of this? Listen, nobody's telling you what you have to do. You just do what you need to do, okay? But this is the guideline that you can follow to put in whatever you need to in your business. And again, we're just gonna literally run down, if you just wanna skim down Iva a little bit more. Again, I'm not gonna read too much more of this, just keep going down. You can see how many employer responsibilities. Okay, go back up one more time, okay. And we try to hit on every key point in here, by the way, guys. So this top one right at the top, it says employers will coach and guide employees to apply for unemployment once the PPE loan runs out. If a compensation lack happens due to reduction in hours, wages, production, and illness, that might change for you if you don't have that available in your state. So then you'll need to change the language on that. Employers, please define what reduction in wages looks like. You need to, as your employer, define what reduction in wages looks like for your team and your employees, so they understand what that looks like. Not them tell you, you tell them, right? You hit the mark first, and then they can, you're teaching, you're coaching, okay? All right, keep going down. The last one is employers will train and implement virtual phone consultations prior to the day. If you need to do this, this is again optional. This is just, we read on a bunch of different guidelines. I thought this one was a very, very nice one to add. If clients are very nervous about coming in, I would do a phone virtual consultation via phone to just say, let me alleviate some of the fears and let me show you with a tour, which you guys should be doing a video of your salon anyway, which we're going to be doing tomorrow. Just giving our guests a tour of our salon, showing them what we're doing, just like I'm going to tour the salon with you guys. And then isolate some things as well. A lot of your social media should be focused around safety protocols and all the key things that you can do right now. And I think that virtual consultation about that would be very important to do. FaceTime with them and just say, let's just show you around. We want you to make sure you know that we're safe, but this is enter at your own, you know, at your own peril as well, because this is a pandemic after all, and we do have a waiver so that you can explain some of those things to them.
Hey, Nikki, somebody had brought up earlier today in one of our groups about, you know, limiting the time if you're going to do a video consult or a phone consult to kind of respect the time. So, you know, especially if you get back and you have to do these consultations and you're like, hey, I'm going to see 4.6 clients, 6 clients, whatever. You know, if there's a 10-minute consultation for each one of them on the video or on phone or whatever it's going to be, you know, that's a whole hour, which granted, it's an hour, big deal. I mean, you know, listen, everybody on here as owners, we've been working ever since we closed to not get paid, which is crazy. But, you know, in terms of saying like, it's funny, Jay Williams, who's been on a few times now and he's on again soon, loves to say something about, I want to be respectful of your time. So this call is going to be 10 minutes long, and I'm actually going to set a timer. So when the bell goes off, we're going to know that 10 minutes is up. So if that's okay with you and we can respect that time and that's going to do it, I almost feel like, you know, they're lonely, right?
I think that you have to do whatever you need to do in your business. But if you have a struggle, I don't have a struggle with that. You know, like Iva would be like, we got to go, like cut it off. But if you have a struggle with that, then yeah, then I would use practices like that to make sure that that happens. Absolutely. Honestly, I think a safety call is 3 minutes. I mean, really, if you're concerned about coming in, let me walk you around the salon real quick in a 3-minute consultation. Let me see your hair. We are going to get you booked, but let me show you some of the things where you're going to be sitting, our shampoo. Check out what some of the stuff that we have here. You're safe. You're okay. You know, it doesn't need to be going on, but I know what you mean, but they're lonely. They want to chit chat, you know, to death. So, but you gotta, but I'm of the mindset of connecting with your guest as much as possible. So, you know, it just depends. It depends on you. All right. Great point. Control guidelines. So this is basically some of the things you can control in your situation. There are administrative controls, engineering controls, ventilation, climate signals, like stickers and signage and, you know, whatever. Management, meaning somebody actually walking around managing all the sanitation and the cleaning, like assign some of your junior tasks, junior assistants to do that. You know, your job is to literally check the bathroom every 15 minutes, 10 minutes kind of thing, something like that. You know, that's like an assigned task. That's management. PPE, make sure that's available to whomever you need. Disinfectants, bathrooms, etc. You want to just scroll down a little bit. So we gave you guys some points of control in the salon that you can do. And again, we'll walk around with it. Public areas, like how often do you wipe down the front doors? Front desk, our front desk has rules. They have to wipe down the front desk every time a client walks in or out. So every time a client walks in or out, they walk right to the front door. They give it a wipe down with a barbicide, or these, we have a special restaurant grade sanitizer that we got, a disinfectant, so they're going to wipe it down with that. So something like that, you know, just again, create rules that make sense for your business. Bathrooms need to be wiped down between every single client. And then we will also have a sanitizing station inside the bathrooms as well, so that guests can do it themselves with a set of gloves that they choose, you know, if they're feeling like unsure if it was done. Workstations, and then we put a little bit of website on there to consult the CDC, which also gave some great cleaning and disinfecting guidelines for you as well. All right, pre-entry guide. This is just for that outside the front door thing, and Iva will walk you to that and show you what she's done. But here are some key points in the pre-entry guide for you guys to read through about how you create this. This is that pre-screening thing. that everyone, and again, she'll break down all of that as we walk out there and doing that. You want to scroll down the next one and then we can walk out and give them a tour. Social distancing, again, I think we all pretty much understand what social distancing at this point, but we put it in writing so that our team, our guest, and everyone can read it. So here are the employee guidelines. In a staff meeting, you need to discuss with them, either Zoom, virtually, in person, or whatever, all of the mandatory guidelines of your business. If you choose to not do these, that's fine. Remove it, add your own, whatever, but it can't get more thorough than this. So I hope you guys like it that I broke it down into employer guidelines, employee guidelines, and guest guidelines. So, and we put next to employee guidelines, print and post on your stations so that your guests can sit there and read these damn guidelines as they're getting their service done, and they can talk about it, and your team can talk about all the things that they're trying to do. Yeah. All right. So again, we're not going to read through all of that, but you guys get the idea. We literally gave them every single thing. I'm sorry. Go back up again just a little bit. Okay. Right. No, down. All right. Wait. Iva. Oh my God. No, go down one page. All right.
Employee guidelines.
Employee guidelines. Yeah. One more page. Right there. So we talk about the credit card machine. We'll show you what we did with the credit card machine, about minimizing some of the contact with that. We talked about sneezing etiquette, coughing etiquette. Yes. You guys are like, seriously, we have to talk about this? Yes. Yeah. Seriously, we have to talk about this. Yeah. Okay. And if your guests read it and you meaning you've gone over it. And by the way, this is an agreement that they sign. Your employees have to sign that they understand. Okay. So this means that they agree. Remember, I'm all about contracts. So I'm all about making sure that they're held accountable to what they agree and that they're reading it, and not act like, well, I didn't know that, well, yeah, actually you did. So, right. Okay. Go down one more to the next page. Okay. In this part, we have a brush and comb procedure. And by the way, you need training. So build in training time for all of your guidelines. Guidelines aren't just like, here's a piece of paper, follow it. It's here are our guidelines. Let me show you and role play with you to make sure that this is what we need to do, right? Now, you tell me if you have a problem with that. Do you have a problem with that? Okay, no. All right, so I expect you to do it. Oh, I have a problem with that, Nikki. Okay, what would you like to do instead? What would be your idea? Because then you minimize the conflict down the way, right? So when you flag somebody later on and you're like, dude, why did you not, sneeze all over their face, or something like that? You can say, I'm sorry, I remember the guidelines, but I'm sorry, I forgot, or something like that. So you can minimize some of the conflict behind that. Your brush and your comb procedures, one of the things that I think you should do is order a bunch of extra brushes. And then you put 2 or 3 in Ziploc bags. And then at the end of the night, you create one closed bin of Barbicide. And every time you use a brush kit, you throw it in the Barbicide bin. They rinse it out, they air dry it, or sterilize it if you have a sterilizer as well, if you want. If you don't, just let it air dry. Wash it first. Remember, you got to wash it first, then you Barbicide. And then you air dry it overnight. And the next morning, your assistants come in early, 30 minutes, and then they pre-package all of them back in the Ziploc bags again. And so you need to probably have, if you're going to do 21.6 clients in a day, you need 24 brush kits ready to go. Okay. So every guest gets their own brush kit. So that's just a procedure and a guideline that our team needs to be in place. And I know some of you guys are going to read these and come up with a million other things. That's fine. Add your own things in here.
Nikki, you know what? Back in the day, and, I'm a little bit older than you. But back in the day, this used to be common practice, right?
Right.
So I originally started with a company called Sheer Honesty, owned by Helmut Munster. And we used to have our own little bags, just like Nicholas French showed us the other day, right? And the assistants would go in the back room, yep. And there was this machine that looked almost like a shoe polish machine. It would rip out all the hair out of the brushes. Mm-hmm. Then they went in the sterilizer, and then they went in the bags. We got to get back to what we used to do. And honestly, it's really personalized service. We got lazy over the years. We really did as an industry. Right. We know the standards. The barber pole is the barber pole for a reason, right?
Right.
People used to think we were the doctors back in the day. But thinking that today, future, we got to get back to some of the old school things that were done, right? Yeah. Given, like you said, given those little packages that are personalized
Right.
with the brush and the comb and they're clean, you think
Right.
the client's not going to appreciate that, whether it's today, COVID, or whether it wasn't today and it's when COVID didn't exist?
Right.
It's special.
Remember that we are elevating our experience despite the challenges. So despite limiting, Virginia mandate said that we should limit appointments to 1 hour, which I think is fucking bullshit. But regardless of that, we still have to follow that to some degree. And if we can follow that, then what we can do is we can maximize that. Say in 1 hour, we're going to try to do the best we can. We do have to minimize the blow dry, but I don't want to do that. I want to add a treatment to it. And then all these special little touches are going to be really effective for you to still give a ton of value added to the experience, but at the same time, fulfill the requirements that you need to for the guidelines for safety as well. So again, just think of ways to add value. All right, you want to just scroll down real quick and then we'll give them the tour. Okay, so I'm sorry, go back up again real quick. Okay, so you'll see here, massage therapists, estheticians, we have a couple guidelines. You guys create your own there, but this is for our employees to do. And then if you jump down one more page, Iva, it goes to the guest guidelines. And so this will be, again, printed and posted on the stations. You can share this in your welcome back bags. You can share this on on Facebook post, on Instagram post, on LinkedIn post, on whatever it is. You can email it to your guest. You can use Derek Hull and Andrew Finkelstein Salon Ninja program and send that shit out to them too. So whenever it is that you need. Yes, guys? All right. I'm not going to read those. You guys read them. You add to them as you see fit, but we feel like it's pretty thorough. All right. I'm going to keep going down. Compensation. All right. Shall we take a tour of the salon and give our brain a little rest before we dive into compensation? All right, let's go. No. All right, we're gonna walk you guys around. Ready? Ready? Looking down the hall of the spa. See the hallway of the spa there. See? We're not going down there. This office right here is where the magic happens. We do the money there. Talk about compensation. This is our little makeup area, I guess, that we have here. Hi, Iva. You want to be in the? Okay.
Nikki, you're giving me vertigo.
Sorry. Okay. First thing first, we want to show you our bags. Check out our bags.
Oh, here, hold on.
So these are personal stylist. What?
I want to show them the sheet.
Hey, Derek, can you, I'm sorry, hold on one second, Nikki. Derek, can you stop Nikki's screen sharing so that we get a full screenshot of this?
Oh, do you need us to do that?
No, Derek can do it. He's
Okay.
the hostess with the mostest.
So I was going to put on a face shield that we found.
Makes it tough to pick your nose, but
There's the Iva. There's the Iva. All right, Iva, you want to pull open one of these bags and show them?
sure.
So we created personal protection kits for every one of our stylists.
So we
And
have
in each kit, we got
shield,
eye
goggles.
goggles in case they choose to wear that. Put one on. Put one on.
hold on. Hand sanitizer,
Look at this. You got on a freaking Chi hand sanitizer. That was not my idea, by the way.
mask,
This mask is really cool. It's actually like jersey, and it's really soft. We got him each one of those.
gloves.
He hasn't robbed the bank jersey or just like,
Right.
Exactly right.
Anything else in
That's
there?
it.
That's it for now.
Hey, and everybody listening to, a good friend of mine had given me a suggestion that she stole from somebody else today, that sugar-free menthol cough drops, if you're wearing a mask all day, she has a client that's an RN that said, hey, that's sort of a lifesaver some days. So that might be something to look up before they become hard to find too on Amazon.
Good idea.
Well, it helps you stand your own breath behind the mask too.
Well, hey, listen, if your breath smells like bourbon like Derek's does, he loves it.
So Alice, our maintenance director, she should have been here because honestly, she did such a great job.
Oh,
So you can see like on the floors, we put the stickers, you see?
show them the shampoo.
So then this is the front desk. So we put the plexiglass 3 positions at the front desk. You can see we put the 6 feet, stuff everywhere there. We have hand sanitizer for sale. We set up each station. So if you want to come look at I'm sorry, I'm like spinning the computer everywhere. So if you look at each station, we set it up with a barbicide, a paper towel, a hand sanitizer, and then we have these barbicide spray bottles at every station. And then trash cans that are closed lid. See? So we're gonna walk over here. Thanks, guys. So it's 62 or 300 square feet. This is the shampoo area. It looks like some kind of men's locker room in here. It's so gross. I hate it, but whatever. So we jerry-rigged it with some string.
What, the girls don't have plastic?
No, girls are naked all in front of each other. Boys got shower
We don't
curtains.
care.
So anyway, we set up this spray at each station. I'm not fond of the way this looks, but whatever. I'm not being picky right now. But we just created little super sand. We taped it with the minutes that we have to soak it on, and they have to soak with paper towels, and then we put trash cans that are closed lid, and on and on and on. You want to show them the oh, this is an example of like a Ziploc bag with a brush kit. We just took all a brush, so we're creating a ton of those. What else did you have? Didn't you have like something really big that you did here? Oh, the sanitizing station. Yeah. So we ended up roping off chairs. I don't know if you guys can see, but you see how we roped off chairs just to kind of keep the certain ones. Listen, you can see that our salon, the chairs are 6 feet apart. I mean, undoubtedly they are. However, because of the way that everything's positioned in there, it just was better if we blocked off certain chairs to keep people from overusing certain space, just to kind of minimize the space a little bit for social distancing. And Iva, please describe.
So this is the table that we're going to put outside. It is the consent form for the clients to fill out, sign, date, phone number. This is the guest list that which we were just showing you on the computer. Take your temperature, here's some hand sanitizer, here's some wipes, there's some masks and pens. So this is all before, once they get here, what we're doing, we're keeping them outside. We're going to have chairs 6 feet apart, or they can sit in their car. They fill out the form. One of the girls brings it into the front desk. They know they're here. They check them in. They go tap the stylist goes and gets them when they're ready. It just avoids a crowd in the salon.
Okay. So it's just some procedures. You guys are going to create your own procedures. I mean, everybody will create their own, but it's just important that we, and right now we're going to be removing the beverage bars, right? We've decided to do that, which I'm not happy about that. Let me just say this. I'm really unhappy about the beverage bar going,
Well,
because we're just going to end up putting it in my office, and we're going to drink coffee in there. And so, and we're going to go to the back room. And so we're going to ask our clients on the confirmation calls to bring their own beverage covered, to keep all beverages covered, right? And so that's going to be something, but I'm researching Keurig right now to see like what, if there's any sanitation stuff we can do with Keurig. I don't know. There's got to be something we can do, right? So to get some coffee in here, but anyway, regardless. All right, you're gonna pull up screen share again, and then we will wrap it up for you guys. So
if you do disposable cups, no touch.
Well, we
I just
have
went to
them
the car
here.
dealer. Yeah, I went to the car dealer today, and that's exactly what they were doing. They had a Keurig with disposable cups, no touch.
See, here's my problem with that though. It's not the cup thing that's the issue,
all the good
or
stuff.
the lid. It's the employee making the coffee that might not be covered or something. I don't know.
You know what it is, Nikki? My thing is like, if it's going to be express services for the first X amount of weeks when you open, like, do you really need the coffee that bad? If you do, I'll hook you up with my Starbucks Connect up the block. When you're done and get out of here in 30 minutes so I can wipe everything down, I'll buy the stupid coffee. Just come in. I love you. I miss you. Give me an elbow bump. Let me cut your hair, pay me, and go to Starbucks. Like, there's so many other things than your coffee I'm worried about right now.
Right.
Definitely. One suggestion I can make to everybody, and Nikki, I don't know, this is probably knowing Iva and you, it's probably on your procedure, but dry erase marker right on the mirror, sanitize 1045.
Love it.
sanitized 11:45. And just like a nurse's station in the hospital, right? And you can do it in bright pink because it just gives the client that much more confidence. It really means nothing more than the client having that confidence in you.
I think at the end of the day, you know, there's all this question like, are the guards, you know, are the shields necessary? Are the shower curtains necessary? It doesn't matter if it's necessary or not, because no one can scientifically prove that it's actually going to help. The problem is the point of the whole exercise is that you are creating a very safe environment that makes your team and your clients and your guests feel safe inside your business so that you can operate properly. Of course, we're going to minimize. Of course, we're going to clean. Of course, we're going to do all these procedures. Is it necessary or not? I don't know. It's just all an exercise in trial and error, really, at this point. You know, we just have to kind of do it. But I can tell you that salons, based on what I'm seeing all over social media and talking to salon owners, are probably more prepared to reopen than any business that I've seen. So, I mean, you know, good job, basically, on that. So, I mean, I don't think we're any better than any other salon. I think there are other salons that are doing amazing jobs, but you have to do something. So, all right. I know you're getting tired. I know it's late, but I just want to run through just a couple more things. And I have another letter to share with you guys, and then I'll wrap. Okay. And Iva, if you want to dive in and give anybody on this. So I know you guys just stay leaning with me here a little bit, but consider this, because don't worry, I'm not going to take an hour to teach you compensations. It would take me about 28 hours to teach you compensations, but we are going to teach lives on renewing and refreshing and readjusting and reevaluating your compensation plans for a temporary period of time. But here are just some overview concepts of it for you to start thinking about. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to slide it in right now, because compensation plans are even more fiery than price increases. And so I'm sorry that I'm making you guys go crazy about this, but this is going to be important, okay? All right. So we have a 26-page compensation contract that is laying out the job definitions, titles, and the compensation scale with all the expectations, with all the compliance laws and everything on it, and defining benefit packages, et cetera, et cetera. Derek, Andrew, and James, if you guys want us to come back on it, we can do it, and we will literally review the compensation contract with you guys. We are happy to do so. All right. Now, we have an entire online course for it as well, because really to design compensation, don't you agree, Iva? It really takes months really to do the work properly. So, right. All right. So compensation period one, your PPP loan is covering it. Adaptability and compensation and altering it for the second pay period is important, and communicating that to your team. Here are some examples. Minimum wage plus 25% commission. So what I'm trying to suggest is if someone's 50%, 50-50, you're going to change it for period two or compensation period two to a different model. And that model could be, if your minimum wage is $10 an hour, you start for the lower tier stylist, $10 an hour plus 25% commission. Try it. Don't just launch it. You got to talk and work with the coach to do this. In my opinion, compensation plans need coaching. Unless you're super smart yourself and you can just totally figure it out and you know how to run mock payrolls and all of that kind of stuff. There is nothing more critical for coaching, in my opinion, than compensation plans. Derek, would you agree? Andrew, would you guys agree with me?
Oh my God. Yeah. You know that.
You gotta get it right.
Your base hourly cost and compensation.
No launching until you get coaching. No launching until you talk to a coach. No launching until you run mock payrolls. Period. Okay. All right. So then the second tier, which would be that mid tier, you could go to $2, so $12 an hour plus 35% commission. Then the top tiers would be $5 above that, which would be like, I don't know, $15, $17, $18 an hour. Something around that, depends again what your state minimum wage is, and 40% commission. So it's a drop for that second phase in anticipation of lower revenue for an 8-week window. So 4 pay periods at a different scale. I know you guys are all gonna there's no comments right now, is there? Other than just shoot her? I'm sure of it. But you need to run some mock payrolls. You need to figure it out. And then I would do the work now to create your teams. You need to have service provider teams, assistant teams, front desk staff, and leadership teams. Define it, and each team gets their own scalable compensation plan. Okay, Phase 2 compensation period is the next. So the first period, you're covered. Loan. You're just doing the work to prepare for the second phase, right? Okay. You launch it. Compensation period 2. Every phase gets a week of meetings prior to launch, meaning you have the meeting the last week of phase 1 to discuss all the new changes to this. In compensation 2, you're going to be talking about new hiring packages. You're going to need to make sure that you have a plan to pay someone for 8 weeks for if they're new. If you're a hybrid, that you have rental incentives. I would highly suggest 1 to 2 months free at this point to incentivize renters to come on board. And then incentivize your team. If you have a bunch of booth rentals in your salon, pay them to promote you as a rental location. Write it down that you give 2 months free or 8 weeks free, and you pay the 1 week of rent to the referring stylist or renter from you. If they referred it, once they stay 8 weeks and they start paying you rent, then they get that $150 or $200 or $300 incentive. So I would start doing some rental incentives like that to drive the hybrid version in your business if this is indeed a model that you're looking at. You want to make sure you have some back to school processes, bonuses, maybe potentially at this point if you have the idle loan. If you have the idle loan, you don't have to change compensation at all. This applies to the salons that did not get the idle and then ran out of the Ppe and are operating at 50% revenue. And then you're going to have to do something to stay alive, because that $6,000 price increase on $60,000 ain't going to cut it. It's only going to cut it a little bit, right? So you got to figure out how to cut down some other costs. And I know some of you are like, well, I'm going to lose people. Okay. I might lose people. You're going to have to just be okay with that. And I know that sounds salty as hell, but that truly is the way I would look at it. And by the way, you might want to, lose those people anyway, because you're probably losing money on them anyway. So you need to make sure you're paying for hourly for meetings, hourly for training that you're doing, and your team-based pay that you might have for your team. So let's say your service provider team, if you set a goal for them in that second phase and they do a great job and they make money at, let's say back bar treatments, and you guys sell $5,000 of it, you split the $5,000 or half the $5,000, so $3,000, let's say, of it with your team, with your service provider team. So you could do a lot of incentives at this point to just drive revenue up, but then pay out based on performance, not just on guarantee. And I think that that's something to start thinking about. All right, compensation period 3 is going to be your rebalancing. Make sure you have all of these different components in it. Again, at this point, I would really look for additional funds, loan funds if you're out of money, unemployment supplements, and if you're closed down, they're all going on unemployment anyway. So you might not even be worried about it. Front desk procedures, we're wrapping up now, guys. Here are some front desk procedures. So I have it for the front desk team as well, on top of the guest guidelines and the staff guidelines. You need to prepare cancellation policies that are interim policies, meaning something in between that is a temporary measure that ensures that you are minimizing cancellations at this time. Also, you need to prepare redo policies and your no-show policies as well. So you may just want to consider that and look at what that is. If you want some ideas on that, I'm happy to share them with you. But keep it simple. Keep it simple. Motivate, incentivize them to give you lots of notice and to not no-show you, and make sure you do all of that. So then again, prepare dialogue, handouts at the desk, train your desk to give out these welcome bags, and add your letters to your bags for your front desk procedures, which is your price increase, your new price list, your new printed policies and procedures, et cetera, for interim policies. And this is a written confirmation call dialogue that I prepared for you guys to train your front desk. Let me read it to you. Hello, Sally, or whatever your client's name is. Thank you for being so patient with us during this time. We want you to know that we appreciate you. We would like to confirm your appointment with the stylist. Name, date, and time. We're calling ahead 2 days to confirm because within the first phase of reopening, we have been guided to schedule with very intentional limitations. In order for our business to serve you with maximum ability with less capacity, we will be implementing a strict cancellation policy, 48 hours notice, and a no-show policy that will be posted at our desk and our stations. Therefore, we want to make sure that we call you with enough time to confirm your appointment and state of health. Let the guest speak on that. Then ask, may we ask if you've been sick or have any signs of illness or fever? Yes, then reschedule them for 2 weeks. No, then proceed with the confirmation. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, Iva. Then ask them, can we answer any questions for you about any of our safety protocols or how we plan on keeping you safe? If they say yes, alleviate their fears, refer them to a Facebook page with your videos, and or schedule a phone consultation with them in order to really, really alleviate the fears. To read the safety protocols that we've implemented for our guests to read. Then say, thank you so much for your business and continued support. We'll see you soon. So I wrote out the dialogue for our front desk to practice and memorize in order to secure the issues with all of that. So there you go. And then at the end, it's the price increase letter, which I already wrote for you guys. So keep going down. I think it's at the end. Iva, is there anything else at the end? That's it. So that is our idea about how you can prepare to reopen. Use this, please, as a agreement with your team. Print out different versions of it to post to your stations. Please feel free to edit and add anything that you need. And Iva's writing her email on the screen as we speak. Please send her the email. She will share this with you. And she will share it with you, Derek, too, that you can share it to you. Any questions, guys, at this point?
I'll post a gallery so Iva can put her sign up. There you go. There you go, Iva. It's all yours, girl. Love it. Love it. So Nikki, there were a bunch of questions coming in from people who are not employee based. And, you know, I know this is a whole different realm, but booth renters.
Are you talking about booth renting?
Yeah, I am, unfortunately.
Well, I will be happy to address some of that because I have some great ideas that you can incentivize it.
So the topic is basically, how do you force booth rent? And I have an answer for this. How do you force your booth renters to comply with your policies?
You do an addendum to the lease. And if you don't have a lease, then you now sign a new lease. So you have to create a lease and you have to create or an addendum to the lease. And you call it a pandemic addendum to the lease in order to follow safety protocols. You need to sign this so that you understand that it's part of the safety protocols for this space. As a landlord, you are absolutely allowed 100% to create safety protocols within the space because you have liability insurance on that damn space, as they should as well. And all of the liability insurance components need to be covered for safety protocols. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. And if they have a problem, then you have to sit down.
A lot of owners don't,
with that.
Nikki, a lot of owners don't understand that although you are renting a booth, you're not renting the common space. And the common space is what controls the client. So if the client is not allowed to come through the door in the common space with safety protocols, then guess what? That booth renter better get in line with the protocols. If they're going to be lax,
it's like I mean, look, if you like to smoke weed, smoke weed. Go home and smoke weed. But the problem is you can't smoke weed in this room, in this salon. That's a safety protocol. You know?
Why not, damn it?
I'm just saying, like, there's things that you can't allow as a landlord, right? I mean, you can't like, you know, have a date and do that in your suite. You're at work. I mean, there's just certain things that you can't do. Safety is our main concern as a landlord. And I would just make sure that I make you just sit down and you talk to them and just say, I'm not forcing you guys to do anything. I'm sharing with you as your business coach and your landlord, the addendum that's going to be added to your lease.
Or something.
And if they don't agree to it, now you got to check with your state. I'm not an attorney in every state, right? So if they are specifically in a certain state, like for New Jersey, we'll take, for instance, I'm going to use our state, for instance, right? There are certain rules built in that you cannot disturb the public, create a health issue, anything like that. That would automatically make your lease null and void, right? Mm-hmm. So as a landlord, you have a right to enforce those things. Yes. It's like, hey, okay, I'm going to rent a space and you know what? I'm going to have a crack party every day. No, you can't do that, whether it's in your lease or not, right? Because it's just against the public well-being.
Derek, you're showing your age. They don't have crack parties anymore.
Okay. What do they have now?
Just let him roll with it. Let him roll with it.
Iva is a specialist, guys, on renting and leases. Iva, you had something to add to that?
One thing that I highly recommend to everyone who is a landlord, make sure that the person that has signed that lease gives you a copy of their certificate of insurance, liability coverage, And you absolutely must be listed as additional insured. It's covering your property. They are working in your space. You're renting it to them. If they leave a curling iron plugged in and it blows up, your insurance company is going to go after them before it's going to cover for you. So you must, this is absolutely without question, no argument. If they can't provide you with liability insurance and you as additional insured, then they can't rent there.
Yeah, and honestly, regardless of whether you have a, let's call it, Ivan, you're better at this than me, but if they have just a generic lease, where even a handshake lease, if they are against common law, which is, you know, some of these things with safety and healthy practices and things like that, you can be sued for that. So just make sure, you know. So it blows my mind that some of these booth renters don't have insurance certificates for the renters. It blows my mind. Like if you're not doing this and you're a booth renter, you need to do it tomorrow, even if you pay for it. And I'm not telling you should, but you know.
What blows my mind is that somebody is renting a space without a lease. Are you kidding?
Happens all day long.
Example right now of people that aren't making any money, and you as a landlord, okay, you could be the nice guy and say, look, I'm going to defer your rent for 2 months. But if they come in and get their shit and leave, there's nothing you can say about it. There is nothing legally that you can say about that.
You're 100% right on the board, right? You saw a couple of the renter units say, oh my God, I walked into my salon today and chairs were missing and this was missing and that was missing because you had no goddamn lease. Get your shit together. Be a business owner.
I have a great lease if anybody wants one. Email me.
No, and Iva, you bring up a really good point, especially when it comes to booth renters. I know there's a lot of commission salon owners in here, but that should be foundational. As a landlord, I don't care what different variances may be state by state, but that should be something that you all mandate. You cannot work a day in here unless I have your insurance and I am on the insurance, unless you have a lease. Or, you know, you want a set of keys. I mean, I don't know. It boggles my mind, some of the stuff that I hear, and I vote you probably hear way worse.
You absolutely must have a file, without question. A signed lease, a certificate of insurance showing you as the additional insured, and a copy of their cosmetology license. Don't take their word for it. That bitch probably expired 4 years ago and they forgot about it. You're liable. So get those 3 things if you get, oh, and by the way, get a security deposit. 4 things. I'm done preaching.
You have to drop the mic. You don't have a regular mic, so just take the AirPod out and just drop it.
Boom, drop the mic and throw up your sign again, Iva.
You what?
You said throw up your sign, but Iva, not your gang signs, your actual sign with your email address.
People are asking again.
Beautiful.
Well, we could keep going. Anybody got any questions about what you need to see?
Hey guys, a lease is going to be critical. You should not rent a hybrid model at all. All of you that don't have leases that are renting, your first order of business is a lease right now. I understand because those stylists hold you hostage. I understand. But run your business like a business, not like an emotional party at the high school. Okay.
Yeah, the stakes are too high, and insurance companies are under a lot of pressure themselves. So there's not going to be any forgiveness. They don't do it anyway, and it's
like I said, there's always that lawyer out there, right? And forget about it. I'm not even going to use the term again, but They will suck your blood out if they can.
So,
Yeah, but Andrew knows New York is a big rental state, right? Overall, especially when you get into Manhattan. If you are going to be my tenant and you want me to supply what I supply and do the marketing and the things that, as the building owner, which a salon owner with tenants is a weird job to begin with. Most of the time, your landlord doesn't give a crap about you and give me my money. You should have a little bit of respect back if you're a booth renter, right? You should say, hey, let me do the right thing. They've survived this 8, 12, New York and New Jersey, right, Andrew? You and I might be, we might be, who knows? It might be September. It might be back to school and back to salon at the same time. But there's got to be some type of compliance or some type of, no honor among thieves. Well, we were never thieves to begin with. So that shouldn't be something that is applicable to the salon industry. If we want to be united, do the right thing across the board.
but it's not just to protect. It's not just to protect that landlord. If you're renting a space from someone, that lease is to protect you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you're paying them every month, and 6 months down the line, Mary Sue comes over there and says, guess what? Your rent is now $2,000 instead of $1,000. No, it's not, Mary Sue. You're full of shit. I got a lease right here
Exactly.
that says it doesn't expire for a year and you can't raise my rent. But you don't have a lease.
So
Hey,
we have
That 2,000, and
Nikki,
she can tell
I
you
have
to
a
leave
question
and pull
for you.
somebody else in there.
hold on, Andrew. We have
Yeah.
2 good questions coming in right now. So Eric from I think Eric's in Boston, if I'm not mistaken. But Eric is asking, are we responsible if somebody gets sick? So the answer to that is yes, unless you have workman's comp and you have an insurance policy in effect that will cover you, because there is always a lawyer out there that will make you responsible. Okay, so just keep that. Iva, you were on mute. Let me unmute you. There you go. Oh.
This reminded me of something else. Last night I was looking up some information for the state of Georgia. Somebody brought something up and I got real curious, so I went digging. And I saw something that said, even if your stylists are strictly commissioned, they must clock in and out. I don't care if they like it or not, because if anything happens and it's a workers' comp claim, you must have proof that you were at work when that injury happened. So if you're not having your stylists that are commissioned clock in and out, then you're screwed.
Same in New York.
Yeah, New Jersey too. In New Jersey, one side is the paid time off rules about how much they actually work. But you as employers of commission salons, if you provide any additional, certain things for their health benefits or 401k, and you require a certain amount of hours, we're not saying PPP, FTE hours, but in your company manual, like you want to know. Listen, if somebody leaves every Friday at 3:00. And that happens over 52 weeks, and you have them qualified right over part-time, and you're paying a percentage of their health benefits, and they don't work it, like, you want them to steal from you all day long? Like, can everybody
Just on Friday.
Just on Fridays?
But seriously, workers' comp is not something to mess with, because you're going to get the bills. And if that injury didn't happen on your property, then you shouldn't be paying that bill.
Iva's 100% right. So, but a lot of owners are asking me right now, am I responsible for somebody that gets COVID? The answer is you could be, but if you have insurance protections in place, you don't have to worry about that, because that's their job to protect you and countersue and all that great stuff. But if you're one of those fly-by-night operations that you don't have insurance in place, your renters don't have insurance in place, you could potentially be screwed. So I'm sure everybody in here as a coach tonight is going to say, you better get it tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, you need to make sure that they were actually at work when they said they got sick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, Just
So the next question, somebody asked, if I am an owner and I am behind the chair and I am having split shifts, how am I going to manage all this? Well, you know what the answer is. You just don't want to hear it. The answer is you're going to have to split yourself into 15 people.
Don't
But-
get me started on time management.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, and that's the specialty of
You're going to sign a leader. You're going to train a leader, but we can talk about
exactly. Nikki, stay on. You muted yourself. Jump on.
You need to make sure
So
you isolate
Iva, you too, unmute yourself. So with regard to this is a specialty of Iva and Nikki, and it's time management. And as an owner, if you don't have what we talked about this in other lessons, a number two, right? Nikki has Iva as a number two, or Iva has Nikki as a number two. I don't know whether how that works, but
Depends on the day.
I'm number four.
Yeah. Regardless of how that works, if you don't have somebody there as your support system, you need to create that overnight if you're going to do split shifts. And you're always going to go, and we've gone through this in past lessons. You need to find who is the natural born leader in your group to jump in and help you out. And do you have to compensate them? You might have to now with the new strategy, unless you're willing to put in the hours yourself. So that's kind of,
you can pay them in many
Eric,
ways.
if you put in the hours yourself and you happen to get COVID-19, you're out of business. Because
I agree.
shifts
I
go
agree.
out.
Time is money, right? So if it's your time and you're burning yourself out, then it's bad money spent, period. If it's your time and you're hiring somebody else and you're paying them a little bit more money, your number two, to do that for you, and you don't burn yourself out, then I think it's a brilliant strategy. So that's time management. And, you want to talk about
It's
that.
defining.
Talk to Iva, not Nikki. Talk to Iva.
It's really about defining the job title and the job position and the job duties. And if you have that in writing and they sign on that and they understand it, and you give them a list of expectations to fulfill during that time and those hours, say, listen, for 8 weeks or 24 weeks, I need you to be second in command to monitor the happenings of sanitation or whatever the task may be. Give them a list of 10 tasks or 5 tasks or whatever, and say, and for fulfilling those tasks, I'm going to give you an extra week of paid vacation, plus, an additional $200 bonus every week, or whatever it is you want to pay them on top of whatever that is. But it has to be a realistic job title list that they can fit into their schedule. Don't give it to somebody who's slammed behind the chair, who can't do anything else except just work behind the chair and go in the color room, and they never even go to the bathroom. You can't give somebody like that kind of responsibility unless they can handle it. But I would tell you, be very clear on who you choose. Be very clear on the job titles, on the job hours, when you want them to fulfill the task. Be specific. Write every single thing down and be specific. Leadership is about defining roles and positions and titles and expectations.
Don't get her started on.
Yeah, and some salons though too, like we're in our case, I don't do hair, but my wife does. We know a lot of husband and wife teams where one, vice versa, or some both do hair or whatever it is. We had the conversation with staff today about split shifting, and it's like after we got off the call, I'm like, holy crap, what about us? Like, we really, even if we split shift and we ran the front of house, we still have to come home together. So if one of us, God forbid, got sick during this, initial protocol one, so we're going to have to really rethink. Like, I don't know how our clients are going to respond without my smiling face at the front door with my thermometer and, my Aquaman trident when I'm like, stay back until we take your temperature.
You just have to get as many people on board as possible that are willing to participate. Right now it's your inner team.
So
Don't get her started on
I had
leadership
a
or training. We'll be here another 2 hours.
And I'll bet you. Hold on. I'm going to bet you Iva jumps in on this quickly. Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law is to expect the unexpected, right? Whenever you have a perfect plan, something will be going wrong.
Yeah, whatever could go wrong will go wrong.
Will.
Whatever it is, you need to have that in place. Just what James just said. If him and his wife get sick, who's the third person to jump in Murphy's Law, right? So, guys, it's so important that you have this contingency planning going on right now, regardless. I think that's what Nikki had said it many times through this whole webinar. You know, it's all about planning. You can have everything set in stone, right? But you have to be adaptable and you have to be flexible, because if you think you have it all, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you have to plan for the worst, even though the numbers, you know, there are a lot of people sick, but there's not a lot of people sick, if you know what I mean.
Eventually, guys, we all have to get back to work. No one's going to stay
Got to work.
the next 10 years. Okay. Yeah, it might go in for a while, or, you know, some unexpected long duration of time, but we have to get back out, and we have to live, and we have to be safe. So we have to adopt new ways of acting, being, living, working, in order to make sure that we are being the safest that we can. And we have to get resourceful. No longer can we wing it and enter the chess game and play the chess game without knowing the rules anymore. It's just not going to happen. This is the great divider and the great equalizer. It will make people who rise to the occasion go to the top, and it will make people who aren't willing to do so really fail very quickly. And not that I'm saying failure is a bad thing. You're just going to learn, and then maybe you'll come back out like a phoenix and do it again. But the fact is, we have to adopt new ways of being, because this quarantine isn't going to last forever. Okay, it just isn't. So, and I know some people are like, yes, it is. We're going to be here 20 years. We're going to be locked up in our house. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Definitely not. Definitely.
Like,
I had a
get
quick
that out of your
question
head,
for you.
Okay, just figure out ways to work and live safer.
What if, Nikki, quick question.
Yes.
What if an employee, you're talking about, you know, rehiring, and they do not want, they want a different and higher pay, commission, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What do you say?
I would say, what do you want to do for that higher commission? What is it that the job that you need to do that? If you're asking me for more responsibility, and I put you into the category of what we call a loss leader, which means I'm going to take a hit on you financially, what will you do for this business? What will you bring to the table? Do you bring leadership skill? Are you bringing training? Are you going to be my third in charge when I go down sick with COVID? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? What is it that you bring to the table? And then convince me as your employer that I need to pay you that. Tell me, and I'll pay you. I'll figure out the money. You just have to tell me what you're going to do for me. And then if you need training, but yet your passion is in it, I'm all in. I'll train you all day long if your passion is there and you choose to do it and your loyalty is there. And so that's what I would tell them.
Okay, thank you.
You get sick, I'm out. I'm just saying. James, I'm coming up there to work with you.
Did you tell Nikki that I hired you already?
I signed the contract today.
I don't know. Was that a good answer, Andrew? Was that okay?
That was your answer. Neither good. I thought it was really a different angle.
Are we losing people because we've been on here so long?
Yeah.
Well, not a lot really, but Nikki, that was brilliant, because the buy-in is important. Like, you know, and it goes back to when we're hiring people, right? So what do we hire people on? We hire them on attitude. We don't hire them on skill. Skill can be taught. Attitude can't. So if they have a reason to support you as a business owner and say, this is my buy-in, this is why I'm going to make you better as a business, then we're going to support them. If it's all about them and it's me, then that's somebody you got to look at to replace.
You know, I don't know if you guys have heard me say this, but I said this in the first chat that I had with Gino. I run every leadership interaction like this. There's a lot of components, but this is the core. This is the core of the nucleus of my leadership, in my opinion. I believe that everyone has a role in life. Your role could be leader, mom, sister, son, daughter, whatever your role is, right? And if your role in my business is the key player, that's like badass stylist, that whatever your role is, all right, that's fine. Define that role for me and define how that values my business. And in this leadership interaction, this is called a relationship building moment. It's a leadership moment. And in this interaction where you're asking me for more pay, you're actually asking me for something else. You're actually asking me for more responsibility, for more leadership, for more something. And what you need from me is contribution to this relationship. You've heard me say it many, many times. And I believe that every relationship has a level of contribution. You tell me what you're willing to contribute to this relationship, and I'll tell you what I'm willing to contribute to investing in you. And then we'll figure that out. We'll hash it out. But I got to see, I'm not asking you for shit. You're asking me for something. So what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So you tell me what you want, and we're going to figure that out. But if you're like badass and you're going to do this, I'm going to have a very strong conversation with you in saying, what will you contribute to this relationship in this business? And then I'm going to contribute my full level of investment, which is pretty heavy if I have to say so myself.
So Nikki, let's get back on and do another session on that. Getting a little late right now. And you guys did an awesome job tonight. I want to thank you. Everybody's saying thank you. Thank you. We could probably go on for 4 hours.
Thank you. You were champions. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Thank you, guys.
Rock star for sure.
Truly love you so much.
Ivy, you can unmute yourself. Don't be shy.
We want you guys to know how important this industry is to us. This COVID pandemic situation for me, and Ivan, I've talked about this 100 times, it has given us the utmost clarity that this industry is our hearts are in it 100%. And we want you guys to survive and thrive into the future.
Nikki, just so you and Ivan know, I appreciate that comment more than anything in here tonight, because the coaches that are on here, if they don't have a passion to fix a broken industry, they don't belong on here. And I know the two of you belong on here.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love
and
you guys.
I mean that because I know Andrew, James, and I, the reason we started this whole thing is not because we just felt like doing it. It's because we get so aggravated with a broken industry. And you know, there are some people out there like, you know, like a dog with a bone, right? Like when something's broken, you have to fix it. And I think that's all of the coaches in this group tonight and the other nights. They really have a passion to help people and fix this industry, get it where it should be, and not sit back and follow the hamster wheel. Because the clients that are clients, the salons that are on that hamster wheel that says, I'm doing it this way because my past owner did it that way. That's the way I learned. Think outside the box, get off the hamster wheel, jump on with the coaches that have been helping you in this for free. You know, even if it's paid and it's not a promotion, but the coaches in here can truly, you know, you pay them a little, you'll make a lot. It's that simple.
Truly. Thank you guys. Love what you guys are doing.
Legitimate
Thank you so much.
business that brings joy to so many people. You know?
Thank you, Andrew. James, I'll send you the signed contract tomorrow.
Awesome. Hey, I think they should name a special, I think whatever the next hair awards that go on, no matter what happens, they should name the next Monday after it's done, after the two of you, so that it's like an honorary day off, you know, that the first Monday after Cosmoprof or the first Monday after the next Intercoiffure should be named after the two of you.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, listen.
Yeah, call me. I'll be in Cancun with a Mai Tai.
Hey, listen, you know what? That might be where we have to go.
Perfect. Next meeting.
Thank you guys.
Good night.
Stay
Thanks,
strong.
ladies.
Stay strong.
Thanks. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody, for coming on tonight. And we will be back on Friday night with our number 37 episode of BBR. And see you then.
Good night, guys.
Good night.